All right, so what is the Frankfurt School? Seriously, what is it? Do you know? You might talk about it like you know, but I'm not entirely sure that you know. And to be perfectly truthful, most people don't know. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of people talk about it. But they don't entirely know what it is, how significant it is, what types of things that it's related to, how important all of those things are. So in this video, I'm going to be covering two different questions. One, did or did not the Frankfurt School essentially coin identity politics as they are related to Marxism? Because a lot of people think that. A lot of people think that identity politics, in terms of, oh, the oppressed and the oppressors, and we should make it all fair, and we should make sure that everybody gets their slice of the pie, but instead of making it about money, you know, the haves and the have-nots of the financial lower class, instead, supposedly, the Frankfurt School came up with the idea that we should be applying it to black people and women, and then eventually sexual minorities in terms of transgender people and gay people. Supposedly, the Frankfurt School came up with that stuff, according to a lot of people. Oh, and Jewish people. That's what a lot of people think, and that's not really true. Like, that much isn't true. But the thing that people are right about is that the Frankfurt School was one of the key schools of thought. The scholars at the Frankfurt School were some of the pioneers of postmodernism, and a lot of people don't know what postmodernism is, but what postmodernism did and continues to do is to try to break down essentially reality and say that reality isn't what we believe that it is, and, you know, things aren't necessarily true. There's all sorts of ways that they use to do that, and critical theory was the main staple of the Frankfurt School. And all of that irritating way of deciding that basically modernism was not actually true. Like, the way that we see the world may or may not actually be true according to postmodernist thought. And that was a very strange and annoying thing. And that did come from the Frankfurt School, and those guys were all Marxist, and it was largely a way for Marxists to basically claim that capitalism isn't really all that it's cracked up to be, because despite the fact that capitalism did actually work pretty well, they might as well criticize it, because that's the type of people they were. They were Marxists. So eventually, what was interesting is that there was the Frankfurt School doing that and developing critical theory, and then there was also people like Foucault and Derrida. But that was different. But apparently very similar. Foucault and Derrida was very, very similar to critical theory, apparently. However, I have not studied those two philosophers, so I should not speak about them a whole bunch. Somebody should explain to me how critical theory and Foucault and Derrida are similar. So, critical theory came from the Frankfurt School, and those guys were Marxists, but they didn't invent identity politics in terms of, like, viewing the oppression of black people, the oppression of women, but it was something that probably came up a fair amount in their writing. And they probably said, well, hey, maybe these people have specific experiences that are different than the way that we normally see the world, and we should look at their own individual perspective instead of assuming that one person's reality, which would be the rich person's reality, is necessarily true, and the white person's reality, blah, 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 blah. Like, they probably talked about that. It's not like they didn't ever think of that, I'm sure. But that wasn't the staple of what they really did at the Frankfurt School. The Frankfurt School was mainly trying to break down reality. And one of the things that they probably did along the way was to break down reality of identity politics and to try to say, hey, the dominant narrative coming from men, the dominant narrative coming from white people might not be all it's cracked up to be, right? So that's sort of the Frankfurt School. But the thing that people have to remember is that there was already identity politics in the United States Communist Party. And a really important thing to keep in mind is that the United States Communist Party, which existed, like, there was a United States Communist Party, and it had black members, because the United States Communist Party was founded in 2019, which is a really long time ago. And those black members were essentially always complaining about the individualized oppression of black people. You better believe it. And, well, the Frankfurt School was officially founded in, I believe, 24? So something like 4 years, around that same time frame, but afterwards. And the United States Communist Party was an offshoot of the Socialist Party. So these Marxist type people, now the Marxists didn't get along with the communists. They saw things differently, but they were the same people. So you have to keep in mind that it's not like there were Marxists, there were socialists for a long time in the United States, and then they founded the school of the Frankfurt School, critical theory, afterwards. And there was already black socialists, female communists, black communists by the time the Frankfurt School was even founded. So remember that. Now, the big question that I didn't answer, which a lot of people want to know, because a lot of people bring this up, was the Frankfurt School, which, remember, didn't invent identity politics, but a lot of people think that it did, which I explain is not the case. Were these guys Jewish? Was it a bunch of Jews? I suppose this is a Jewish question. I know that's not what the Jewish question is, but I figure I might as well say that because it's kind of funny. Actually, yeah. These guys were pretty much exclusively Jewish. If you go through who these are, I think there's like one that was, I think this guy, Theodore Adorno, only his father was Jewish, his mother was Catholic, so I think technically he wouldn't have been Jewish in terms of, you have to be female born in order to be an actual Jew. There might be one other person who is debatably Jewish, but then all these other people are all Jewish, or they have origins unknown, or this guy, David Ryazanov, he was just a Soviet spy anyway, and he got caught. And so he wasn't even entirely part of the Frankfurt School. Like, his entire involvement in it was, like, trying to influence all the guys around him to be full-blown communists or something. And then he got, like, caught. So he might not have been Jewish. But, like, all these other guys, like Pollock, Max Horkheimer, whatever, Karl Wittfogel, these are like all Wilhelm Reich. They're all Jewish. So that part is true. There was a school of, Marxist philosophers that did have a very big influence in the United States Communist Party, or at least Marxist school of thought. I don't know if they were in the Communist Party, and they did their best to come up with a way of reconceptualizing Marxism to apply to as many things as they can apply it to, which did include identity politics, but was certainly not confined to identity politics. There were Jewish guys that were doing that. But when people act like they invented identity politics, that's dumb. Like, they're wrong. It's, like, just demonstrably wrong. Okay?